Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Adin on the Pitch. Well, you have seen the final yesterday and probably one of the snooze fest. You may have already known the result. So today we'll just analyze how the final went. So please watch the full video and don't forget to like, share and subscribe on my channel Adin on the Pitch. Here we go. Viva España. Viva España. These two words just completely signifies the complete dominance of Spain in the final. Yes, Spain has officially defeated Argentina 1-0 to lift their second World Cup title after 2010 World Cup. And it was just a complete Spanish dominance in the final. Well, you would just see the scoreline 1-0 and think that it would be a very closely fought final and Spain may have just got a goal, but the reality completely hits different. Well, Spain completely crippled Argentina right from the very start. They had a brilliant possession from right start. They had 803 passes, 68% ball passes, and they had 20 shots, where 12 shots were on target and compared to Argentina, three shots were not and zero on target. Compared to that, Argentina in the first 105 minutes or 110 minutes had zero shots and zero shots on target. It was completely 0-0 for Argentina. They just couldn't get past the Spanish midfield. The Spanish midfield just were completely counter attacking all Argentine players. They were really rapid with their pace. They really knew where to pass the ball. They had widespread players so that and they completely tired the Argentine players. The Argentine players tactic was extremely defensive from the right start. Well, Scaloni, who had wide far regarded Argentina to be much more attacking, made a very defensive tactic and a very grueling and a physical, aggressive tactic in the final, so that Argentina would probably get just keep fouling on Spanish players so that they can tire them and eventually score that even in the last few minutes of the game. But that just never happened. Argentina committed 25 fouls in the whole game, and the most for they were just playing dirty all the time, and it was complete a bad representation in the final. In fact, in the whole tournament, the Argentina players trying to play more dirty and more physical was completely exposed in the final. And why? Enzo Fernandez got a yellow and then eventually the second yellow in the 92nd minute, which which eventually turned to a red card, really brutally tackling a Spanish player, and was eventually sent out in the 93rd minute, reducing Argentina to just 10 players in the final. Well, it just looked like completely the game was right on Argentina's penalty box. The only silver lining in the game for Argentina was Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper. He was literally saving everything, 9 or 10 or 11 saves in the final. Probably many they were actually two or three goals which should have been counted, but one goal was counted as outside and one goal was given as foul. I would regard that Spain could have won it easily 3-0 or 4-0, which is actually regarded in 1-0, which they eventually got that in the extra time in the 105th minute, which Fabian Torres scored the goal. Quite similar to Iniesta scoring that goal in the 2010 World Cup final against Netherlands. And this Spanish team was completely dominant right from the start, right from the end, and they completely nailed the final. Argentina was extremely bad, extremely poor, extremely ineffective. Everything was poor for Argentina. They subbed out as many as 5 or 6 players in the second half, trying to make a more defensive tactic because they really want this match to go to the penalties. Scaloni probably tried to think that they would try to get Spain into penalties so that they would try to get them in penalties. But that never happened as Spain was just completely dominant. It would be really bad if Spain would have lost that match in penalties compared to how they had really played. 803 passes, 68% ball position, 20 shots, and Argentina was just committing fouls in the whole game. And what happened after the final whistle was blown was a complete bad sportsmanship and terrible gameplay from Argentina, really grabbing the neck of the players. Paredes was eventually given a red card after the final whistle as he assaulted a Spanish player, and two Spanish players. Almada also did, but he was not booked. There were so many yellow cards in the process. The refereeing was decent, not quite great because there were many calls which were ignored. Probably the tackle on Lamine Yamal and other players, they were really going really hard and hard. They kicked the Spanish players more than they kicked the ball in the whole final. The practicality was that Lionel Messi was really expected to get the second his second World Cup title, was completely invisible in the whole final. His first shot came in the 117 minutes, which was easily blocked by a defender. And that how Spanish players really isolated Messi. Whenever they had gone gone to a player, the Spanish was really fast with their pacing and they really covered them by both sides, really crippled Argentina, and they were really poor passing, really poor effective. Their gameplay was extremely sluggish. They really lacked the pace to cope up to the Spanish players, and eventually, I would say, in the end, the true football has eventually won. Spain really dominated the whole tournament. How their smart thinking, how effective ball possession can eventually win you game. It's not about always you need to attack goals. How you can easily play the sport is learning the basics. The famous tiki taka was implemented and was beautifully implemented. Spain rightfully deserved to win the final, and and many players, probably Nico Williams with that beautiful header assist to Fabian Torres, who eventually scored his only goal in this whole tournament. That's how Spain had actually played as a team. So, capping off, I would say that how Spain really played the beautiful football will really inspire the next generations to take the sport, how to play that in a beautiful way and not to be really bad, just like how Argentina had done in the final. And I would always recommend that following a Spanish tactic is always really great for the sport. It really helps players to gain more insights in the sports rather than just pushing players or hitting the players. Of course, that is mostly done in South America, but it was not, it couldn't quite be implemented. So, other things that Spain, the tournament journey, eventually they drew the game against Cape Verde 0-0. Many would felt that Spain would not be the favorites, but from then on they got that wake up call and just completely dominated right after. They defeated Saudi Arabia 4-0 and Uruguay 1-0 in the group stages, eventually getting to the knockout stage. Then they defeated Austria 3-0 in round of 32, managed to scrape through Portugal 1-0 uh, in the quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, beating Belgium 3-1, which was the only goal they had conceded this tournament. Just shows how remarkable the midfield was, how remarkable the ball position was. And the best victory was probably against France because they just never got France, who was actually the favorites to lift the title. They just could never let them go out, and they defeated them 2-0, eventually defeating the probably most one-sided defeat ever, 1-0. The scoreline wouldn't suggest, but Spain was just. On the other hand, Argentina had an unbeaten run to the final, and it was a decent run, but not a great run. Their run was more relied on individual performances and rather than team performances. I felt that Messi kind of carried his team to the finals, else Argentina were not quite going through if they would have faced a relatively bigger team in terms of Belgium, Croatia, Portugal. they would have lost. They would have not even reached the semi-finals. So their run went through like this. They defeated 3-0 Algeria, 2-0 against Austria, 3-1 against Jordan in the group stages. In the round of 32, they barely scraped through Cape Verde, 3-2 in the extra time. Similarly to Egypt, they managed to just scrape through against Egypt, scoring 3 goals in last 13 minutes, 3-2. Against Switzerland, winning in the extra time, 3-1. In the semi-finals, again getting the last 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the match, winning 2-1, and finally losing a completely one-sided defeat to Spain, 1-0. Messi was uh, of course almost carried his team to the final, but there were not quite many players who played for Argentina in this time. Messi scored 8 goals and 4 assists, and Martinez also had a really good run, especially in the final where he saved 11 shots from Spanish because they were just all over them. He had a good game, but he couldn't save that one goal. So that was Argentina's run. The man of the match was given to Ferran Torres for scoring that massive goal, and he also had a really good presence in the center in the match, constantly attacking in the box, giving a really hard time to Argentina, and he got the man of the match, the most crucial man of the match. In the award shows, uh, the golden ball was given to Rodri for his commanding midfield. Messi received the silver ball, and Mbappe received the bronze ball. The golden boot was given to Kylian Mbappe for scoring 10 goals in this tournament. And the golden glove was given to Unai Simon from Spain for keeping 7 clean sheets in 8 matches. They had just conceded 1 goal. Probably he was not even needed in this because Spain hardly let Argentina even get past through their midfield. It was all going in the Argentina's penalty box. And the FIFA Young Player Award went to Pau Cobrasi for anchoring a Spanish defense that conceded just 1 goal in the tournament, and Netherlands winning the Discipline Award. And that was the award shows. There was really great, some good performances. I Show Speed, Shakira, BTS, Coldplay, and lots of others. Tom Cruise, who performed in the final. I felt that the halftime show was kind of lengthy because it just distracted. Literally, they had good like 30 to 35 minutes, and kind of sometimes annoyed me, but it was still good. And the final, Spain was completely the deserving winners, in my opinion. They were really clinical, disciplined, and they showed their tactical resilience in the final. Despite that fierce, harsh tactics, physical tactics from Argentina, their dirty tactics, and this is not how I would expect the sport to be played. I think the sport needs better teams, a better lookout, and that's why I really wanted Spain to win. And Spain, of course, just won it. Argentina, the runners up of the tournament, England getting the third place. We had seen a lot of legends, lot of teams in this tournament, 48 teams competing in this tournament. There will be 64 teams in the next edition, which will be held in Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. So we'll be looking for that in the next World Cup in 2030. And so, so just to say, I would really appreciate all the legends, all the fans, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar, Harry Kane, on Aqua, um, Luka Modric, and Mohamed Salah, who played a lot of games. Jude Bellingham also played really well. Vazinia was, of course, the star impact, that unknown impact, that goalkeeper who gave that. So it was a really clinical World Cup. It was not that a great World Cup, but still it was a decent World Cup comparatively. We'll be expecting, of course, of course, our country, India, maybe try to qualify in the next World Cup. As the teams has been increased to 64 teams in this year, we would want to India to get this time. They narrowly lost to Qatar after a huge controversy. So we'll be expecting India. So that's all for my FIFA. Hope you have liked the video. If you have liked it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Arden on the Pitch. Thank you, guys.